So we're talking today at a very important juncture. The whole of India's attention is fixed towards Eastern Ladakh, where the goings on between the Indians and the Chinese has rightfully kept us all interested and focused. But something very important has taken place, and perhaps very important does not do justice to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the decision of the Indian government to deliver a submarine to the Myanmar Navy. Before we go any further into the depths of this story, before I reveal to you what I found when I was trying to understand more about it, there's one fact that needs to be understood very clearly, and that fact is that while India has envisaged, while India has wanted and has declared its intention to export aircraft, export ships, export other forms of weapon systems, it has never, ever spoken about exporting a submarine. And you export something which you have surplus of. Does India have a surplus of submarines? I'm not sure if the answer to that question is yes. But let's start with the facts first. The fact is that on the 15th of October, when the Ministry of External Affairs was holding its regular press conference, that's when it was asked by a journalist to clarify reports about India gifting a submarine to the Myanmar Navy. And that's when the MEA clarified, and the MEA's exact words as an answer to this question was that India will be delivering a Kilo-class submarine, INS Sindhuvir, to the Myanmar Navy. We understand, said India, that this will be the first submarine of the Myanmar Navy. That's all. There was no press release about it. There was no photograph issued. In normal times and for normal sort of transactions, what we would have seen is perhaps a beaming image of the Indian Navy chief with the Myanmar Navy chief exchanging, some form of memorabilia, some form of, joint photographs and all, but nothing of this sort. As I said, not even a single press release was issued to mark this occasion. Now, before we go any further, let's first talk about Sindhuvir. I'll come back to the other details, but what is this submarine, INS Sindhuvir? INS Sindhuvir is a Kilo-class submarine. Now, Kilo-class is a name that NATO had given us. The Russians, or rather the Soviet Union, which actually from whom India purchased the submarine, called it the 877 EKM class of submarines. India has delivered the INS Sindhuvir, which was one of those EKM class submarines. This submarine joined India in 1988, 11th of January 1988. It's a conventional diesel-electric propulsion submarine. They can operate up to a depth of about 300 meters, but this is the actual specification of this submarine. You would appreciate is an older one now, even though it has been refurbished, but it's an old submarine now. Around 53-member crew is required to operate the submarine. Now, I have reported personally, I visited these EKM class ships. I've been inside of them, and there's one thing which the naval officers talk about this submarine, this EKM class submarine, and that is they call them as black holes in the ocean. It's a tribute to the stealth of these submarines and the way that they carry themselves and the way in which they are almost undetectable. Now, EKMs came to India in the 80s. That's when the Indians were very keen to go into the next generation. Remember, India already had the Foxtrot class of submarines, which Russians or the Soviet Union had given to India, and Indians were very keen to build on that because the Foxtrot class of submarines were getting older. India wanted to replace them with the next generation of submarines that the Soviet Union was designing, and that's when the EKM class was offered. Now, I'll share the details in the description of where you can read more if you're interested. But the very first impressions of these EKM class of submarines impressed the Indians. If I can just quote one of the officers whose description and whose details are there in the Indian Navy's official history as well. The link will be there in this. He says the teardrop hull being hydrodynamically the best underwater configuration operation. The underwater management of this submarine was excellent. He also spoke that there's a mine hunting sonar on the submarine, which was also very, very useful. India ended up buying not one, not two, but 10 such submarines, and they still, till date, remain the sword arm of the Indian Navy. That's of course still the time the Scorpions, which are French-designed submarines, start coming in. 2 of them already are in, and by the end of 2022, I'm told the other 4 will also join. So 6 Scorpions in all will then take over from the EKM class and become India's sword arm of sorts. Now let's talk about the Myanmar episode. As I said, I tried to speak to many people who are aware of this whole deal, so to speak, and it's not very often that you get told by your sources that this transaction or this deal is a highly classified deal. This is the word that was thrown at me. These are the words, in fact, that were thrown at me when I was investigating more about the 5 Ws and 1 H. That's the journalism parlance of understanding anything. And among most reports that you will see online are reports of India gifting Myanmar the submarine. Categorically, I was informed by 2 officers who had a clear understanding on this case that this is not a gift. In fact, if anything, this is actually a lease of sorts that India has given to Myanmar. Not too much of specific details are available, but let's keep it at the fact that it's a lease and it's just over 5 years and not more. Possibly that's when India will review it along with Myanmar and see where things are. That's of course some distance away. So India agreed on this lease of the submarine to the Myanmar Navy, and to understand this whole picture, it's not enough to just look at India and Myanmar. I was told that the picture needs to be widened. You need to zoom out further, and that when you zoom out, you see Bangladesh, you see China, you see Pakistan. These are the countries, Sri Lanka, and the wider Indian Ocean that comes into the picture. And now, when you try and understand just what has taken place, you will get a sense of what prompted India to take this decision. First of all, let's speak about Bangladesh, because that was one reference that I was continuously given by many people who I spoke to, saying that India does not want what happened with Bangladesh to happen in the case of Myanmar as well. Now, what happened in the case of Bangladesh? In 2016-17, Bangladesh signed up for submarines from the Chinese. The Chinese are also designing frigates and ships for the Bangladeshis. And what happens when you get a submarine, when you get ships from a navy or a nation? What happens is technical know-how, support, exchange of training. These are factors which come along with the ship, which means that Bangladesh's deals with the Chinese, whether it's on submarines, of course the submarine area being way more sensitive and critical, but deals also factored in things like surface ships. What happens is that drew the Indian assessment is that drew the Chinese into the Bay of Bengal. One of the biggest apprehensions that the Indians have is of seeing the Chinese submarines inside the Bay of Bengal. Now, for a variety of reasons, Bay of Bengal is quite the heart of India's submarine arm. The top bosses sit there. Visakhapatnam was also the harbour where the INS Arihant was launched and then was commissioned from. And India does have a lot of its interest at stake in the Bay of Bengal. It doesn't want the Chinese submarines, or for that matter, any Chinese asset, personnel, ships or submarines to float around. But because of this decision of Bangladesh, and when you see the geography, you understand, it drew the Chinese in. And India was obviously very uncomfortable about this fact. Now, Indians assess that Bangladesh's experience with the Chinese hasn't been as good, and Indians took advantage of this. Indians say that looking at what they understand was Bangladesh's problems or difficulties in continuing with the Chinese, they started their talks with the Myanmaris. The Myanmaris were interested in having a submarine. They did not have one so far. Indians and the Myanmaris started negotiating. the first step was to negotiate the training for which the Myanmar crew had to come to Visakhapatnam. Indian Navy has a fantastic facility in Visakhapatnam where many foreign navies, I have personally been there and I have seen the Vietnamese Navy among other foreign personnel as well who were trained there. The Myanmaris came there first, then they got acquainted with the Kilo class submarine, and that's how things started rolling. Now all of this has happened over the last 2 to 3 years in relative silence, in relative distance from the limelight, and that's how things in the strategic domain very often unfold. So as I said, when I spoke to people who are aware of this whole transaction, I was told that by tying up with Myanmar, what has happened is India has managed to create a bond of sorts, because of which how the Chinese did to India via Bangladesh, India will be able to do the same, not necessarily to China, because China is still some distance away. It starts only from the eastern edge of Myanmar. But India will be able to, in that sense, be closer to China, and by the virtue of signing this up with Myanmar, it will be able to outflank the Chinese from doing that with the Myanmar Navy. So the Indians will be closely operating with the Myanmaris. I'm told that there is an Indian presence, consistent Indian presence, along with the submarine that has gone to Myanmar. This whole team of officers, of sailors, is there to help the Myanmar Navy, to help them address any problems that they may face at the very site. So India is very closely linked to Myanmar in this operation. Also understand one thing which a very learned government officer explained to me. He said, where did India's first submarine come from? And the answer, I said, was that India's first submarine came from the Soviet Union. And he said, correct. But because India's first submarine in the 60s came from the Soviet Union, even today, India is tied at the hip with Russia. And that, he said, is the example that we need to understand. If India and Myanmar strike and have struck this deal today, it's not a deal which will end in a year or 2 or 3 from now. It's a long-term transaction. India and Myanmar, in that sense, have just about started on a very long journey. This is what the government of India, in fact, this officer who's aware and who's privy to the entire issue told me is how the Indian government is viewing this. So it's a very long-term engagement, the first steps of which were taken of 2 to 3 years back, and our first fructification of those steps has only started now with the delivery of the submarine. Why is the silence though? Why was, as I said, no press release issued, there was no discussion, there were no photographs issued? It's because India and Myanmar are both very happy to do this in complete silence. India is very keen that it does not attract too much attention. Myanmar is even keener, I'm told, to not attract attention because Myanmar has very strong ties with the Chinese, and it's obvious. If Myanmar has opted for these submarines to come from India, which, as I said, with which will come the package of the Indian team, the support and all of that over the years, China is not going to like this, and Myanmar is as keen, if not keener than India, to keep this matter extremely quiet, and it's respecting these sensitivities that such a momentous occasion has been allowed to pass rather quietly. Let's move on further. As I said, it's a very rare occasion, but what's the larger picture for the Indian submarine arm? As I said earlier, that you export what you have a surplus of. Does India have a surplus of submarines? The answer is no, to put it very simply. Why is it no? Indian Navy right now, and I'm not talking about the nuclear submarines, I'm only talking about the conventional diesel-electric submarines. India right now has a force level which is equal to what it had in 2013. That's almost 7 years back. Because in 2013, the Indian Navy lost the INS Sindhurakshak to an explosion inside the naval dockyard in Bombay. And then Sindhuveer is also now out of the equation. So 2 submarines gone, 2 have entered, which are the Scorpene class. So numerically, maybe technologically not, but numerically, India is where it was in 2013, which is obviously not good news. India wanted to create another line for 6 more submarines. That's not progressing because the Project 75I is yet to be dealt with. The government, there were media reports to say that it would be released sometime, or the RFP would be released in October this year, but so far we haven't seen that. So there is a great deal of anxiety among those who are watching the Indian submarine arm about just how is India going to get the underwater strength that it needs. And now India has to deal with a resurgent Pakistan in the underwater domain. Why? Because Pakistan Navy not only has the French submarines, which are quite relatively recent, but Pakistan has also signed up a deal for 8 Chinese submarines. Again, these are conventional diesel-electric, not the nuclear propulsion ones. But when these submarines come, for a navy of Pakistan's size, with a coast of the Makran coast size that Pakistan has to defend, observers in India are quite worried. They say Pakistan's submarine arm would have a phenomenal growth and would have a phenomenal reach. And India will be extremely vulnerable because India, as against Pakistan, has a lot more to protect. India has a 7,500 long kilometer coastline. I'm not even mentioning the exclusive economic zone and other assets at sea. So to counter Pakistan, to counter the Chinese who are increasingly traversing the Indian Ocean region, remember reports of the Chinese submarines having docked at Colombo, at Karachi, and who knows where. They've got a base at Djibouti in the Gulf of Aden, the Horn of Africa region. So the Indians are quite worried about how India is going to get the strength to counter the underwater influence that the Chinese and the Pakistanis are now seeming to gain. And in this situation, Indians giving away the Sindhu Veer to Myanmar, it shows that India, of course, has an eye on what's happening and what's going to unfold, but India is also doing it from a very, very difficult position. It's up to you to see whether it's a desperate move by India or whether it's a very far-sighted move by India. But it reveals to you just what this game of chess or this great game in the Indian Ocean region is all about. Anyway, having done that, let's come finally to the aspect about regional rivalries. It's very important and it's very interesting as well. Southeast Asian region, Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia and the other ASEAN nations, these are countries with whom India has a very good relationship. Indian Act East policy, in fact, sees itself through the prism of Southeast Asian nations. For example, even before India and Myanmar Navy came close, India and Thailand, India and Indonesia, these navies have been working together at sea for many, many years. In fact, India and Bangladesh only started exercising, their navy started exercising last year, and Myanmar Navy and Indian Navy started exercising in 2013. But even before that, Thailand, Indonesia and other countries, Indian Navy has had a very good relationship with. But because of this delivery of a submarine to the Myanmar Navy, the Thai Navy is suddenly now looking at this with a degree of suspicion. The Thai Navy has its own areas to defend. Thailand has contracted from the Chinese a set of their own submarines. Indonesia is going to be worried. So Indian reaction or Indian action has unfolded a critical, critical cascading effect it has had and has generated a number of steps in that region. We'll have to see whether in helping the Myanmar Navy cement this bond with them, how will India balance her relationship with the other very important Southeast Asian nations. Anyhow, that's it. So this, as I said, is a very important deal and it's something that we'll have to look forward to see how it unfolds. But one thing is extremely clear, that while everyone's attention is in the eastern Ladakh region, China's presence in the Indian Ocean region, its influence is there and is being felt. And it's precisely for that reason that the Indian Navy had to in fact take a step as drastic as giving away one of its very, very prized possessions, a Kilo class submarine. That's it for now. If you like this video, then do comment, do share your thoughts about it. It'll help me understand maybe better the way I provide news and analysis to you. and it will of course help the message travel further.